Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence the 17th, and I thank you for joining me today. I have, for the last couple of weeks, been offering both a free course called Go Pro in VO, the basics for what you need to create a professional voiceover career to get started, get better, get paid. And then this past week, I have been sort of intaking people in the new cohort, the new class of 2024 for VOHeroes Pro. And a lot of questions have been asked. I've done live events with a number of people who have supported our project and been supporters in general. And a lot of questions have been asked about voiceover in general, about getting started in specific, the different categories of work, the technology, the business itself, some questions about AI, and questions about just the general mechanics of being a competitive voiceover talent in today's world with the way things work today. And I thought I'd take some time this afternoon to address some of the biggest and most potent questions we've had. They tend to center around that moment when you're just about getting ready to begin that new pursuit, that project, that training or going after work or auditioning, that moment just before you start. And so what I wanted to do was talk about these things because they all center around fear. And I want to talk about the three biggest fears that we have when starting something new, and then how to completely and utterly crush those fears. And maybe this will help you understand a little bit about what we do, what we teach, how we teach it, and give you some peace of mind, and maybe even wave you off. Maybe it's just like, yeah, I get it. Can't get over it. Not going to do it. Don't have the time. Don't have the energy. The world is just way too complicated right now for me. I completely understand that. If you are somebody who wants to create a profitable, a satisfying, and successful, and hopefully profitable voiceover career, I would love for you to join us over at VO Heroes and take this journey with you. I want to be the guy that helps you do this. We provide the gear, we provide on-demand courses. You can take them anytime you want. We do monthly workouts, monthly practice sessions, as well as business building accountability meetings. Those are live. You have your choice of 8 different days and times. Our coaching team is available to you. You can work with me if you want, or you can work with all of our lovely coaches. They all have amazing superpowers. If this is something you want to do, you kind of have to make the decision to do it now, because as we are doing this, it's live on Thursday at 2 o'clock Pacific. We close registration promptly on Friday night, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. If you are watching someplace that you'd like to brag about, put it in the comment below. We're on both Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Put it in the comment below. Hopefully I'll see it. They claim that I'll see it. We don't know these days with some of the technology that we're using if it's working the way we thought it did. But that is what I'd love. Tell me where you're watching from, and tell me what your biggest fear is about this. Give me your name. Tell me who you are. I'd love to know. In the meantime, what I'd love to do is kind of walk you through this and talk to you about how we can not only look at these, call them out by name, these fears, and then also examine how we can take a look at getting rid of them, at setting them aside and understanding them and removing them as obstacles for moving forward. So the three biggest fears that we have, and as this lovely slide says, number 3 might just surprise you, begins with a fear of the unknown. So we have a fear of the unknown. We're human beings. We have a fear of the unknown. We don't know whether or not the future is going to be filled with success. It's going to be filled with challenges. It's going to be filled with failure. It's going to be filled with potential pitfalls, some real danger. We don't know, but we're curious and we're concerned and we're fearful. Okay, well, we'll get to what the answer to that is in just a moment, I can tell you that you don't have to be fearful of that because it's absolutely true. There is a whole lot that we don't know and won't be able to know about the future. And you could just accept that. And that removes an awful lot of the burden of, gosh, I wonder what's going to happen. Well, we don't know. We just don't know. And so that's something that you can just, just assume that is going to be an issue. There is going to be a lot of unknown things. Now, you can help that by having some preparatory training, having some support, having a mentor, whether there's unknown stuff or not. And again, there will be. You don't have to be fearful of it. We do have a fear of failure. Fear of failure in anything we do. I mean, how many times have you gotten to the top of a set of stairs and go, okay, I better hang on to the railing? I don't care how old you are. There's always this fear of failure. There's always this fear that something's going to go wrong. Something is going to be terrible and is going to hurt us, and it's going to be less than exemplar. So we're not going to be able to brag to our friends that we were capable of doing something. Again, not something that you need to worry may or may not happen. You will fail. There will be some level of failure. You can't be perfect at everything you do. You can't know everything that's coming down the pike. The unknown feeds into that. You're going to have failure. There is going to be an issue there. And so just know that that's the case. Know that you're going to have those things that you're not just really super successful at. And again, if you assume that that's the case, then it's one less thing that you have to worry about because you're going to have failure. And the third one, this is the one that might surprise you, is we might actually have a fear of success. And why would we have a fear of success? What do we have to fear about success? Well, if you're successful, now you have a whole new set of responsibilities. Wait, I didn't fail at this completely and utterly. I actually am okay or even good or even awesome at this. Wow, okay. So now I don't have the excuse that I couldn't figure it out, or it was too hard, or there were some things that were beyond my control that I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it, but I did it. Oh, and I like it. And I kind of want to do it again. So now what happens is you get this success under your belt, and now there's no excuses. Now there's no hiding from the fact that this is something you could do. You could be a voiceover talent. You could be an actor. I have to remind my students on a regular basis when they say, "Oh, I'm not an actor. I want to do voiceover, but I'm not an actor." And it's like, yeah, you are an actor. I appreciate that very much. James joins us. Thank you so much for he says, thank you for doing this. I appreciate your insights, experience, and knowledge. I appreciate that, James. I thank you for showing up. Thank you very much. That's great. I appreciate that. If you have anything you want to add, go ahead and jump that in. So look at these different these different fears that we have. Unknown, fear of failure, fear of unknown, understood, but then fear of success. And if you look at this, I'm talking about very high level, big fears. We could certainly have a fear of the technology. We have a fear of the microphone, or a fear of a piece of software that we don't yet understand. Or in our world, in the last few years, AI has reared its head in many ways and has caused a great deal of fear. One of the things that I was really happy to share in the free lessons that I have last week, you can still watch those lessons, by the way, if you look at the let me put this back up again. If you go to VOHeroes.com/go, right at the top of that page that you'll go to, there's a link where you can watch these 3 free lessons again if you want to. It was great that this week I could say, AI is not turning out to be the bane of everybody's existence. Now, that may change, the unknown coming up soon, who knows? But so far, the acceleration that everybody feared, that all the jobs were going to go away, everything was going to be impossible to do, just haven't panned out. In fact, there was an article by The Wrap which is one of our industry newspapers, that the headline was, "Wait, AI didn't take my job?" I did a series of dramatic readings of the reviews that AI generated voices, synthetic voices, have been getting on Audible, for the books that Audible has done with synthetic voices. Oof, brutal, brutal. And they were representative of all of the reviews, tens of thousands of books in that marketplace using AI, and nobody likes them. Nobody has good things to say about them. I looked for some good things just so that I could be true and representative of the reviews, and they were all roundly either, well, whatever, they're not that good, or I will never get another AI generated audiobook again. And, as I said in the lessons, you can be fearful of specific things like that, specific, the tech, the AI, whatever. Um, but if you can't change it, and you can't change the fact that AI is here and is taking some of the work, then it really isn't worth your time to waste your time being fearful of it. You can change most of the other specific things that you're worried about. I'm worried about making enough time to pursue a voiceover career. Well, people take this much time each week, or they take this much time each week, whatever their schedule allows. I don't understand how to work with a microphone. Well, once you solve that one problem once, you never have to worry about it again. I don't know how to use this piece of software. Well, if you learn from somebody like me how to use the software, it's easier than using word processing software. There are fewer options. It's all about having confidence in the ability to tell a story more than anything. The actual software just kind of sits there and records you. And we show you cool ways to use it that are pretty easy to get. I've got, you know, people like me, older citizens that learn how to do it. It's not that hard. And if you have questions about any of these things, if you have fears that you want to talk about, I can see your comments in the comments. Please put them in the comments below this video as I'm doing them. Kimberly Wells says, "Hi, David. I'm watching from LinkedIn. Thank you for this live." Thank you for watching from LinkedIn. I appreciate that. And good to know that LinkedIn is operating successfully. That's awesome. Yeah, but let me know if you have any questions about this, and we'll talk about it. Let's continue with the presentation, though, to a quick degree. These are the three biggest fears. So now, what about our deepest fear? This kind of adds that's Marianne Williamson, who is known for a lot of inspirational work. She's run for president a few times. She borrows in that phrase from what is roundly attributed to Nelson Mandela, to other famous people who talk about playing large on the world stage. And that application is for us too. That notion is for performers as well. Who are we to hide our talents from the world? It's unfair, both to the world and to you. If you've got this inside you, if you want to be a voiceover talent, if you want to be someone who does commercials or animation or video games once we're not on strike, or um, who does audiobooks or explainer videos, or is the voice of the phone system when you call the bank to get your balance. If you want to do that kind of work, if you know that there is that voice inside you, that storyteller inside you, because it's all about telling stories. If you know that's in there, don't hide that from the world. That's one of my pieces of advice to you. Do not hide that from the world. You need to be the voice that you want to be, and you need to be that server of your fellow human being. They deserve you. They deserve to hear you and be entertained by you and be informed by you. And they deserve to allow you to help them think and reason and judge and move through life. It's just a big thing. And it's worth really considering that by holding back, you are taking that from people. You're removing that gift from them. And I know you're sitting there going, "What are you talking about? I'm just like me. I'm just a guy. I'm just a woman. I'm just a. This is who I am. This is what I do. Why me? Why not you? You're here right now for some reason. Maybe you stumbled on this and you have nothing to do with voiceover, and you're trying to figure out who that guy in the green shirt is and why he's talking like this. Or you're here because this is something you've been considering. This is something that you want to do. This is something that you are driven to do, maybe, and you want more information. That's what I'm here for. So, again, let's move on and let's take a look at how to get rid of those fears. We know what the three fears are. Let's look at them one more time, real quick. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of success, very high level fears. Let's take a look at how to vanquish those fears. All right. So, first, number one, question your assumptions and get out of the silo that you're in. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes the fears that we have are caused by our own lack of information, our own assumptions that we come up with or we've been given by somebody else who claims to know what they're doing. People will tell you, "Oh, I've heard that celebrities do all the voiceover work. You'll never get work in voiceover. The gear is way too hard to use. I tried to use it and I couldn't use it." Just because they couldn't do this or they think that what they're telling you is true doesn't actually make it true. But you can assume sometimes that it is and assume in error. So that's one part of that. And then the second part of that, again, was get out of the silo. So what I mean by that is sometimes you make these assumptions or you hear this information, you take it as gospel, and then you live with it. And you never, ever, ever test it. You never say to yourself, is that really true? Is that like, that's pretty audacious to say, is that true? Because somebody is taking the time. You've asked a question or you've supposed something and somebody has given you an answer. And how dare you question the truth of that answer, that they are somehow mistaken? How dare you question that? Well, if you live with it long enough, you're living in a silo and it's protected and you have that assumption and you assume that it's true. I'm asking you to question your assumptions and maybe move out of that silo and consider something else or consider other options. Second, what I want to talk to you about is one more way that you can at least give yourself a fighting chance on this. And that is that you do solid remaining open to the possibility that you just might be mistaken about this or be misinformed about this research. And I don't mean the average type of research that you might do by going on YouTube, although YouTube can be certainly very supportive of what you believe, or maybe not so supportive of what you believe. And I'm all over YouTube. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes of my podcast on YouTube, of training videos on YouTube. Some of my interviews are on YouTube. So you may encounter me on YouTube. But what I'm asking you to do is to literally say, okay, blank slate. Tabula rasa. I am going to just figure out from reasonably vetted sources, not some dude or dudette on on YouTube that I've never seen before, or on LinkedIn or on Facebook or whatever, but really people who I've gleaned have a knowledge of what they're doing, maybe that do this every day like I do. I'd love to be one of your vetted sources, but do your research and be open to those possibilities. Let me just check the comments really quick. I'm getting a lot of things going on. I will get to those in just a second. And then finally, the third item that I want to talk to you about is getting support from someone that you trust. So say you go on YouTube or some other source, or you take a course from somebody, maybe a free course, maybe one of my free courses. And what you discover seems to make sense and seems to have some evidence behind it and seems to be reasonable. Maybe it disagrees with what you've assumed, or that silo that you were in, that cocooned world that you were in. You're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Just quick example. There are people, engineers mostly, who say never, ever, ever use a USB microphone. And, for the most part, they're absolutely right. If they're talking about those really cheap $20, $30 headset microphones that you'd use to play, Call of Duty online or something like that, that's what but they don't mean this USB microphone. This is the USB microphone that I use for my voiceover talent. And they say, you got to get a studio mic that plugs into an interface. Have to do it. Well, what if that interface that you plugged into, all of those electronics, the same electronics, were plugged into the bottom of the mic? It'd be convenient. The microphone's a large diaphragm microphone, great microphone. I use it every day. This microphone in my practice, I make money with it every day. And what comes out of the back of the microphone isn't an audio cable, but a USB cable. Well, what does that do to that universal overall rule ever, ever, ever against using USB microphones? Sometimes there are really valuable exceptions. And I spend a lot of time making sure that I don't damage my voiceover practice, that I don't do anything that makes it harder for me to make money, or harder for me to book a job, or harder for me to audition for something. I make sure that I protect. And that's the mic I use. Now, I have two very expensive microphones, a Neumann U87 and a Sennheiser MKH 416, sitting up there on the shelf, both in their boxes, both in their little oak boxes. Haven't used them in a long time because I don't need it. I use that USB microphone. Take their advice for everything else, but question whether or not it's universal. Yeah? So get support from someone you trust. Maybe that person that you trust has some practices, some training, some background, and some proven techniques, strategies, and tactics that work. And they can guide you. That's what I do. That's what I do. Jamie Hewitt says, "Hi David, thank you for sharing your thoughts and great energy with us. I noticed your price includes equipment. Yeah. Is there a different registration price if you already have equipment? Yes, there is. We give you a rebate on the equipment that we provide. And we also have a little conversation with you to make sure that the equipment that you already have is good enough to do voiceover work. We have people who are using MKH 416s and Neumann U87s and TLM 103s and even Rode NTG1s and Rode NT pluses and Shure SMV7s and all kinds of other microphones that I could recite from memory. And they're fine. There are some people who have like a Snowball from Blue or a Yeti, and they don't know how they're hurting themselves with a microphone that sounds okay if you're just listening to it by itself, but when you compare it with others, not so much okay. But we provide a rebate to the package price. But if you don't have a gear, you get my mic with the training, and you get everything else: earbuds, mic stand. It's the case the AT2040, which is what I provide and what I use. Headphone amplifier, just to make sure you can hear yourself nice and loud. We provide all that stuff as part of it, as well as 36 plus courses in the full curriculum that, everything from soup to nuts, zero to hero, from the gear to the different categories of work, commercials, audiobooks, IVR, animation, video games, and many, many more. Building your business, creating your own content, the mindset stuff that you need, demos, getting an agent, things like that, all part of it. So I hope that answers your question. We provide a rebate on the gear that we would provide. So again, let's finish this up real quick. We have these ways of getting rid of it. If you want to walk into a procedure or a process or a training moment or a new adventure in the world of voiceover or pretty much anything else in life, doing these things will really help you maximize your chances for success. And then finally, in the end, facts and knowledge conquer fear. So if we were to go back to that beginning moment when it's like, we have these three big fears, what's causing most of that? It's a lack of facts and knowledge that are replaced somehow with incorrect assumptions and things that sound like they might work, sound like they might be pretty good, but aren't necessarily serving us the way knowledge and facts and at least vetted research and maybe the help of a mentor like me could help you with and save you time and save you money. I mean, I have a lot of people who come to me and they say, "Man, I know your program is freaking expensive, but then I've spent many times that with other people." I had one woman who said, "And I learned more in your free courses, in your free lessons last week than I did from all of them. And I just wish I'd met you first." And I wish that we'd met first as well. She's actually joined this week, and I'm very excited about that. But I think that if you give yourself a fighting chance, if you've been experiencing no joy, maybe you started down the path in doing voiceover and you haven't gained any traction. You're still relatively as confused or in search of knowledge as you were when you started a long time ago and nothing's quite worked. There are no guarantees in this business. There's no guarantees that if you study with me, you'll be super successful or successful at all. You know, I've had people say, "So how long will it take me to earn my money back? If I study with you?" I don't know. I don't know. There are people who train people in the performing arts, and they will say things like, "Oh, you should be able to make your money back like within the first 6 months or a year." I don't. I'm very skeptical of anybody placing a specific timeline on making your money back. That's a reasonable thing to consider when you've got sort of a traditional workflow. Like if you want to study to be a plumber, a lot of people need plumbing work done. And there's a lot of ways that plumbers get work. And it's a very specific, very long-standing, cultured way of doing things. Sometimes it involves a union hall where you sit around and you wait for work to appear and the union sends you out. That's not how our business works. Everybody has faucets. Everybody has toilets. Everybody has drains. It's kind of a universal thing. Not everybody needs somebody to voice a commercial on their internet channel or needs an audiobook narrated and produced. It's a fairly rare occasion. There's a lot of work, but there's a lot of people who want to do that work. And here's one of the real kickers. A lot of people in our business are really good at it, and they're really good at it and make it look easy. So people from the outside or people that are just getting started and getting trained, they're like, "Well, that looks easy. How hard could this be?" Right? And so sometimes people walk into this thinking not hard to do at all, and then they're given the cold hard slap in the face truth of, yeah, it can be hard, and there's a lot more people who think they can do it than there are jobs to be done. Just think they can do it, not can do it, but think they can do it. So I'm not going to take up much more of your time. I only wanted to jump on here and give you some solace, some supportive and encouraging advice about this fear that we have, these ideas of, well, I might blow this, I might ruin this. If you have somebody around helping you, giving you facts, giving you knowledge, giving you training every day if you want it, every month if you want to practice it, it's not just the classes which are on demand, it's the workouts that we do every month, the business building accountability that we encourage, the discussion group, the equipment. If this is something that you want to do, but you're a little fearful of doing it, I completely get it. I completely get it. And I would leave you with the things that I have left people with all this week as I've done live events with other people, thinking about two things. Sometimes people say, "Oh, somebody else, and not me, not me. I mean, I want to do this, and I think I might be able to do this, but yeah, really, who am I?" If not you, then who? Who deserves this more than you do? And you could say to yourself, jokingly, everybody, but really, is that true? How long have you been thinking about this? How often do you think about this? How does this sort of pick at your brain, when you think, "Oh, I really do want to do that." Okay. Why not you? There's really no good reason. All of the people that work in this business have overcome that moment and said, "Yeah, it's going to be me. It's going to be me. I deserve this." And then the second one is, if not now, then when? Because we often want to wait until we're ready. We want to wait until all of our pencils are sharpened perfectly and in a row and ready to go, and our papers are in a nice neat stack, and we don't have anything going on in our life to interfere. Listen, life is going to get lifey whether you want it to or not. Life is going to get in the way on a regular, ongoing basis. So if not now, then when? When when is going to be a good time? And what's to stop life from getting lifey then? Nothing. It will. You can count on it. So if this is something you want to do, I urge you to at least consider all of the things that I've talked about here today. Go to VOHeroes.com/go sometime before 9 p.m. tomorrow night, Friday night, August 30th, tomorrow night, and make that decision, make that choice to give yourself that gift of the design of your future without the fear, with the knowledge, with the facts, knowing that you're going to mess things up. You're going to make a mess when you're first starting and playing around and doing things. And with our help, with our guidance, we'll show you how to make it better and how to go pro. We'd love to do that. I thank you so much. I thank Jamie and Kimberly and James and everybody else who didn't type anything in under the comments. If you're watching this on a replay, make sure that you tag me in your comments so that I get notified that because I'm going to be a little busy for the next couple of days, but I'd love to answer your question if you have one, or read your comment. Love for you to do that. And I thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I'm David H. Lawrence, 17th, and hopefully I'll see you in VOHeroes Pro. Thanks. Bye.